Hello everyone and welcome to Elephino Open number 23. I am Elephino, as you can tell by my cute little name placard right underneath my face. So this evening for you we have a pretty cool open Hearthstone tournament. We have 256 players and they play through a single elimination best of 5 conquest with a ban. Basically, if you're not sure what that is, each player selects 4 classes that they would like to play, and then their opponent is able to ban one of them, leaving each player with 3 eligible classes. Now, since this is conquest format, all the players must win with all 3 of their classes in order to take the match. So once you've won with the class, it is locked out for the rest of the match, and you're going to have to win with all your other ones in order to win. And obviously, if you lose with a class, then you still got to win with it, so you'll be able to play it again. So if you're kind of new to Conquest and tournaments, that's basically the setup that we have here. So let's go ahead and check out the bracket real quick and we can get an idea of the players we're going to have coming at you this evening. So we're going to be showing both semifinals matches as well as the championship match. So as you can see in the middle of your screen there, the first semifinals match is going to be between Napoleon and Cubics Zesty. And following that up, we're going to have It's Prototype versus Top Ramos. And obviously the victors of this will move on into the championship match, which will be the third and final match of the evening. So it should be really exciting. If you're looking to get involved in some of these open tournaments and you're not really sure where to start, you definitely want to check out strivewire.com. They're a really awesome website. They have all kinds of open Hearthstone tournaments. I believe all of them are free. They have them for the Americas region as well as the European region. So if you're in either of those and you want to get involved in some open Hearthstone tournaments, check out strivewire.com. You can see their logo in the bottom middle of the screen there. Great place to get started. Great atmosphere. A lot of really good pro players compete in these open tournaments to try to get Hearthstone Championship Tour points and secure their top 128 player position for the season, so that they can play in the big tournament. That's actually the European one was this weekend, and the Americas region spring tournament is this upcoming weekend. So check out that if you haven't already. But for now, we're gonna check out some players that are trying to get some points to hopefully get into the summer tournament. Obviously, the spring one is already going on, so these points will go towards the summer Hearthstone Championship Tour season. So let's have these guys get started, and then we will get you into the action. So the top player that should be on your screen, if I do my job correctly, will be Napoleon, and he has Rogue, Shaman, and Warrior. His Hunter was banned. And Cubic Zesty is going to be running Mage, Rogue, and Warlock. The Shaman was banned. So Shaman's still continuing to get a lot of love in standard format. Really popular deck. I know aggro was popular before standard. Obviously, that was really the only viable Shaman build. But now we're starting to see some of those mid-range options as well. So you can see some of the little bit different than just the aggro Shaman on the meta. And Rogue also coming back in a big way. They lost Blade Filler, but they picked up a lot of awesome tools, including the legendary Zeril, which is included in most of those decks. And they got a couple of neat spells that I'm sure we'll get to see some in this game as well. Hunter, a little bit of surprising pick by Napoleon. That's not one of the more popular ones. It did get a little bit of love in the latest expansion here, Wrath of the Old Gods, but it's I'm not sure. I don't think it's quite one of the more popular ones yet. So it's really interesting to see what variation he has, if we're able to see it. It's obviously banned for this match, but maybe in the championship match. But anyway, it doesn't matter for now. We're getting into game 1 of the first semifinals match of Elephino Open number 23. So you can see Cubic Zesty on the bottom of your screen. And now you should be able to see Napoleon's cards on the top of your screen. So here we go. We are into the action. Napoleon opening up with the Warrior, which is super popular right now. The Tempo Warrior, as well as Patron is still popular as well. But that Tempo seems to be getting a lot of play in major tournaments. And Cubic Zesty with opening up with Warlock here in game number 1. Looks like he's got more of a hand lock or maybe a combo lock variation, one of those. Doesn't appear to be Zoo by the cards in his hand. Definitely not. So those are kind of the two metas. A lot of key cards in there. So there's a lot of different ways that you can build that hand lock. And they got a lot of cool tools in standard format. It was always a very flexible deck. You could kind of tinker it the way you wanted to. You had your core cards that were in all of them, but it was since you generally ran one of everything, especially if you're running Reno, it was very flexible. You could kind of pick and choose what parts you preferred. It wasn't as cookie cutter as some of the other decks were /R. So kind of slow starts from here. Both taking their time. Obviously, Warlock gonna take a couple turns to get involved too heavily on the board, which is mostly okay for Napoleon, I imagine. In these opening turns, he wants to set up his nice curve, which it looks like he has. Take it slow, and if he's running a combo, I don't think it's combo based off the Varian Rin being picked up, but combo decks are pretty popular right now. I know Firebat had a lot of success in a tournament recently. He ran 3 combo decks and made it quite far in that tournament. So I believe he was running the Worgen Warrior as well. I don't think that's what this is, but just talking about the Warrior combo deck. This doesn't appear to be that. This looks more like the Temple Warrior I was talking about earlier with Varian Rin. So he's going to try to curve out pretty nicely, draw some cards, but Cubic Zesty locked that up with the silence on the Acolyte of Pain. So that's going to slow down Napoleon a little bit. That's kind of unfortunate for him. So now his hand's a little bit clunky going in. Still got that Korkron for turn 4, so not terrible, but that Variant could be stuck there for a while. Cubic Zesty not having to use that tap here. He's still got a pretty nice little curve here on turn 5. His turn 6 could get a little bit awkward as well, so both of these players not with a whole lot of card draw early on, so you can see there's 3 and 4 cards respectively at the beginning of that turn. So generally these decks, they want to have a lot more cards in their hand than this at this stage of the game, but they had pretty good early game curves, so they didn't really have to. Now Cubic Zesty going to take advantage of that life tap. Pick up the Defender, not super good here. I like this Doomsayer. He obviously doesn't know what Napoleon has, but this Doomsayer on tempo here is really gonna, from his point of view, gonna slow down the game. Doesn't seem to have affected Napoleon too much. He did prevent him from playing that 4-drop this turn, which he would have played otherwise, but I don't think it's the end of the world for him. We'll allow him to establish it nicely next turn. Unfortunately, he's probably going to be into this Sylvanas, which is undoubtedly going to come down. And now we'll see if Napoleon has an answer for that. So Malkorok, nice pickup for him on turn 7. It's the 7-drop legendary to keep whacking away on curve. It also trades pretty favorably with Sylvanas. Fortunately for Napoleon, Sylvanas is able to kill that, so it will not be taking it over if he decides to take the trade here. If he doesn't, then Napoleon can make the trade and establish cleanly on the board. Double 4-drops, looking pretty good next turn for him. But Cubic Zesty on the bottom with another kind of awkward play. He's got the Colts down there, so he could slam that down, or Defender. Doesn't seem super great on the Sylvanas. The Malkorok still is able to kill it, so it being a 6/6 is not very relevant at all. So yeah, I like his turn here, just buffing his Cthulhu. He does leave out a lot of mana. He decides to not drop his 3-drop as well. I guess he doesn't want to extend on the board, or really wants to get the benefit of the Battle Cry on a minion. So I can get behind that as well. Being a little bit greedy, you could argue, with the Battle Cry, but definitely And now a really strong turn from Cubic Zesty, able to drop 2 decent-sized minions, including a Twilight Drake. It's not buffed too bad. 4-7 looking pretty good, forcing Napoleon to double trade into there. It doesn't feel great for him. And killing this Drake could be really awkward. Especially with Cubic Zesty gonna get the battle cry we were talking about earlier, will allow for a nice clean trade. He attacks in first, sequences that very nicely. Really high skill level players this late in the tournament, they don't get here by accident. So sequencing first to make sure that he attacks in because of the enrage, and then using the battle cry to finish it off. If you do that in the reverse order, you put a lot of unnecessary damage on the Drake. Varian Rin coming down on curve may be enough to get Napoleon back into this game, but not really sure. We got a Shadow Flame and a Hellfire to clear out the board pretty nicely if he wants to do that. Not saying it's the right play, just pointing it out as the most obvious board clear. But he's got a couple other ways. Power Overwhelming looking good as well. Trade off cleanly into Varian Rin, and then use the Shadow. Oh, there you go. That looks even better. He took a different path, but that definitely works as well. Definitely get behind that. That was probably hands down better than what I was saying. So now Napoleon, I guess we probably partially expected his board to get cleared though, so I don't think he's too upset about it. He was able to draw out a board clear with essentially only playing the 1 card. The other ones were put on the board thanks to Varian Rin, so he's not like he wasted mana into investing all of those minions on the board. It was really just one of his turns that was eliminated. It's not a huge deal. Able to establish back on the board here, but Cubic Zesty with that Twilight Drake putting in a lot of work. That thing's been around for several turns. Been quite annoying for Napoleon to deal with. Now, he's not going to get the heal out of this, so he's going to take 1 damage by playing Jiraxxus, but setting up this weapon, getting that hero power going, able to clear off the board for Napoleon. Only having 1 card in hand. Cubic Zesty appears to be in a really commanding position right now. Dropping those 6/6s every turn is going to be extremely difficult for Napoleon to deal with. Does have a decent amount of damage. That 6/6 is not going to be able to attack, so he's going to have to clear it off with a couple of his AoEs, but looking at Napoleon not having any cards now in hand, so he's in pure top deck mode and still able to establish a 6-drop. Looks pretty good. Napoleon was kind of banking there on that board sticking around. That was really his big win condition. You can swing in here and execute it, but it really doesn't feel great at all, because you know he's going to follow it up with another 6-drop, and you got to kill him at some point. He's just trying to stall out long enough to make that happen. With the hero power, the brand, the defender. So defender's going to go off twice, going to make it 8/8 very quickly in a 4/6. I don't know if Napoleon can deal with this with the taunts. He may have had some chargers in hand that he was going to try to get out of the way, but now with that double taunt in the way, it makes it really, really difficult. And Napoleon going to concede game 1 over to Cubic Zesty. So, I apparently had the watch and learn quest, so thanks guys for giving me the pack. I appreciate that. That's why I run this tournament, for the free packs off of spectating games. That's my big scheme. So Cubic Zesty of 1 game to nothing here early on in the series, taking it with his Warlock. So again, this is Conquest format, so that Warlock is locked out. He will have to win with his Mage and his Rogue now if he wants to take the series. So we'll jump right here into game number 2. Let's give Cubic Zesty and his Warlock a check mark, so you can see the score on the left side of your screen there, signifying that the Warlock has a victory and is up 1 to nothing. Napoleon Gonna try again with that warrior, and Cubic Zesty gonna switch to that rogue we were talking about. That's super popular. I think that's almost one of the more popular decks by far in tournaments currently. I believe warrior was actually the most popular class brought to the European Championship that was this weekend. But rogue is definitely up there as far as strength. I believe that it's considered tier 1 by the majority of players currently on the ladder. And Cubic Zesty taking his time to mulligan, maybe seeing if he can evaluate what Napoleon has. A little bit of strategy. Hopefully he didn't disconnect. That would be very unfortunate. Looks like he did get the mulligans off. Well, they disappeared there, so hopefully he's around, and that wasn't a disconnect. Oh, there we go. We can see him touching some cards. That's a good sign for us. That would have been unfortunate. We would have just remade the game. It's this early in the game. We would have just remade it. I don't think I would have given him the loss here at the very beginning. But it's good to avoid that unfortunate situation. So pretty slow from both starts, which is okay for Cubic Zesty. He doesn't have a whole lot early game. He had some backstabs to kind of slow up some of the pressure, but him not having to use that is probably not a big deal to him. He can use one of those backstabs now and clear off the Acolyte with his weapon, but that does give 2 draws to Napoleon, which I suppose isn't the end of the world. I guess it's probably about average for Acolyte, but still not great, and he's going to be a little bit slower with it. He can afford to take 1 damage. It's not too threatening as damage-wise. But that does put a little tinker into Cubic Zesty's plans, because now he's not able to backstab it off if he wants to. So he's gonna have to use backstab on the 3/3 and attack in there with his face, and I guess leave the Acolyte around for a little bit longer. And just a lot of hero powers early game for the rogue player here, Cubic Zesty. Napoleon going to continue to extend onto the board. He had a really nice curve. We kind of overlooked that early on, but he was able to coin 3 into 4 here, and this looks pretty good. Or not coin 3, he had 3 into 4. So I guess not exactly on curve. He had to float 1 mana, but still pretty good. At least he was able to establish something onto the board. Can draw a couple cards with that Acolyte. Gets 1 more, so he did end up getting 2 draws off of that Acolyte of Pain anyway. But Cubic Zesty setting up this Azure Drake, hoping it was going to be a little bit annoying for Napoleon to deal with since he only had a 3-attack weapon. But Ravaging Ghoul going to finish it off for him. And even get a little bit of armor thanks to the Armor Smith. But now here we go, Cubic Zesty. Buckle up, folks. Yak is in with the coin and the conceal. That's like the dream turn 6 play for a rogue. And he had it, so that's going to be difficult for Napoleon. Not able to target that, obviously, because it's concealed. So he's just going to try to establish further onto the board. Rogue doesn't have a whole lot of AoE anymore. A lot of players have cut the Blade Flurry since its nerf in standard format. It's still a viable card. He may be running it. I don't really expect to see it, but it may be in there somewheres. But a lot of players cutting it now that it no longer damages your opponent's face. It specifically targets only the minions for your opponent, so to most players that was enough to cut it. Especially with all these cool new tools they got. A lot of them you can see the Shadow Strike dealing a lot of damage. Just a buffed up backstab, essentially. Journey Below, pretty cool little card as well. We'll see what he's able to get off of here in the Discovery Death Rattle card if you're new to this one. Let's see it on the screen there. Oh, unfortunately the spectator mode is bugging and we're not able to see what his options were, but it picks up an Anubarak. So that's a pretty cool card for him. That can be really annoying for the warrior to clear off. Very, very sticky indeed. Maybe he can bait out and execute so some of his other minions can live around longer. And this is another cool card. We'll hover over that for you too if you're not familiar. Bloodhoof Brave, some of these newer cards. This is one of the more popular ones. In Warrior, so it was stacked last turn, so Napoleon had to play it again. And is able to damage it again, draw a card off of it as well to get the Enrage benefit right off the bat. And challenge the Auctioneer. It looks like he's going to get double sap, so this poor Bloodhoof just keeps getting thrown back into the hand. But that does mean that Cubic Zesty is out of cards, so he's invested both saps. And they're clearing off that taunt. Eventually he's going to have to deal with it. And Napoleon's going to have some bigger drops. So we'll see. Looks like Napoleon's hovering over that Grom, finally clear off this Auctioneer. I imagine will be the target of choice. Oh nope, with the Whirlwind, I didn't see how low Cubic Zesty had gotten, so lethal for Napoleon with the Enraged Grom off the Whirlwind. That Cubic Zesty had gotten sneakily slow on me. I was talking about all the cool new cards and Standard, and meanwhile he was taking a decent amount of damage. So that's going to be game 2 over to Napoleon. He's able to even up the series at 1 game apiece with his Warrior, thanks to Enraged Gromosh. Those are not new Standard cards, as we were talking about. Those have been around for a while, so that's a classic combo for Warrior, but still very, very strong. And he's going to give Napoleon game number 2. So we'll give him a check mark over there. And now here we are right away into game number 3. Cubic Zesty switching over to the Mage. And Napoleon now with the Rogue. So the tables have turned. We got Rogue on the top side of your screen now with Napoleon. And he looks to have a very similar Rogue deck to Cubic Zesty, who now on the Mage is quite obviously playing a Freeze Mage variation. So we'll kind of look out for some of the new tech cards in here if he has any. A lot of this is pretty much the classic cards. Didn't get a whole lot of new cards for Freeze Mage. They did lose Mad Scientist, which is a little bit unfortunate for them. Means they're going to have to play their secrets manually nowadays. But as far as new cards into this deck, we'll see if he has any. I don't think too many players run a whole lot of new cards in there. But we'll keep an eye out for him. Looks like he does have a lot of draw, which can be really good for him. So double Loot Hoarders here on turn 4 into an empty board from the Rogue. Feels pretty good. Napoleon, a Fan of Knives would have been good for him as well, but he doesn't have it. He does have Weapon and SI, so we can definitely clear these off if he wants to. It's just not as clean as Fan of Knives would have been and allowed him to draw a card. So we'll see what he opts to go with here. He's going to have to play something else if he wants to combo the SI. So looks like he's going to go with the Backstab SI. Not a bad turn from him.
This guy's toast.
Using the Backstab on those minions is pretty okay in this matchup. Not a whole lot of minions you're going to have to deal with. Not a whole lot of small minions. So he has the tools to clear off a Doomsayer if and when he has to and wants to. He's definitely got the spells in his hand, so not a whole lot of concern there. If that was his only way to clear off a Doomsayer, he might have held off on that and left those Loot Hoarders around. But now he's going to see the Ice Barrier coming out from Cubic Zesty. Going to have to heal him up a little bit, so that's slightly unfortunate for Napoleon, having to get through. Doesn't feel good to... You attack in and you just heal your opponent, so... That never feels too good, but he's not going to be able to beat him with just spells alone, especially this early on in the game, so he's going to have to get in that minion damage. And as we talked about, Napoleon does have a way to deal with this, and I imagine he'll take it. Shadow Strike for 6. And there's the Fan of Knives we were talking about earlier, so he is going to use that here draw a card. He obviously could have weaponed it down instead, but opting for the card draw. And picks up another Fan of Knives, so. Cubic Zesty holding out, but he's got a lot of damage down there. Emperor's going to discount all of that, so he'll be able to do a lot of damage from hand very quickly, as early as next turn. Double Fireball and double Frostbolt next turn if the Emperor is here. And he is going to do just that. Is that going to be... How much damage is that going to be? So that's going to be 12, 18. So obviously not enough to kill him. We weren't really calculating that it was enough to kill him. Just that it was a lot of damage. If he picks up a couple Ice Lances or gets in some chip damage or maybe an Alexstrasza, he's already got the damage in hand. So he's still at a pretty high life total. But Napoleon establishing this decent-sized board. Probably going to get eliminated by a Flame Strike. But Cubic Zesty looking for an Ice Block here eventually. Not in danger of it now. With the Flame Strike, thanks to it being discounted, he can Flame Strike and Ping, which will clear off the board. So yep, undoubtedly coming out there. Send it back over to Napoleon, who has a lot of burn in his hand of his own, but not a whole lot to combo with it. So a turn 8 Hero Power pass doesn't feel super great. Wanted to establish a minion on there, but Cubic Zesty is ecstatic about that play. He couldn't be happier to not see a minion from his opponent's side. Maybe Novice Engineer here, unless you want to start generating fireballs with Archmage. Or maybe start with the Novice, see what you get off of it. And then you can go in with the Antonidas, freeze the face, as well as generating... he's going to go with both fireballs here, so why not? Not saving a Frostbolt in case he gets an Ice Lance. That would have been the only argument here, but if you can generate a fireball off of it, I think that's pretty acceptable as well.
Thank you.
Not too concerned. Benefiting from the Ice Lance if you get the fireball instead. And now he can do it again on this turn. Drop Antonidas again. Use up one of his 3 mana fireballs. Swap out for another one. Or he could use his Forgotten Torch if he really wants to. No, but instead he's just going to stall the board. Maybe he's sensing a lot of burst damage from Napoleon, especially with that Hero Power pass a couple turns ago. Might have been a tell to Cubic Zesty that Napoleon has a lot of burst in hand, and he doesn't want that minion to be able to attack. So definitely viable to be a little bit scared of that. With the burst potential, respecting the burst potential of the rogue. Definitely understandable. Alexstrasza coming out, not really good here. Doesn't heal you, doesn't do a whole lot of damage to your opponent. Does pick up the Ice Block, so that could be huge. He didn't have enough damage to kill him on this turn, so he would have needed 2 turns, so this makes him feel a lot better. He can Ice Block and Fireball, set his opponent down to 10, and he's definitely got the damage in hand to do it. So since he's not worried about dying, free to Fireball in the face. Set up multiple different ways of lethal.
Thank you.
And Napoleon doesn't know it yet, but it looks like he's in trouble. He probably has a pretty good idea that he's in trouble here, but since this is a tournament, he's definitely going to play it out. Looks like he's debating attacking in case this is a ice barrier. So I believe that's the decision Napoleon is thinking about. So now he knows it is not an ice barrier, so he is going to go in with double Eviscerate. Able to pop him here, which feels pretty good. So he was hoping maybe it's not an ice block. You got to go for it there, because otherwise, probably sensing that you're in trouble anyway. So popping him there, definitely the right play for Napoleon. Unfortunately, Cubic Zesty would have survived whether it was a barrier or ice block. So we talked about the huge pickup that ice block was on that play, and for good reason, because Napoleon did have the burst. If he doesn't pick up the ice block there, he was not going to be alive for very much longer. He might have been able to blizzard the board and stall that out instead, but Still might have been a lot of damage, and don't know what would have happened after that. So doesn't matter now. Cubic Zesty with the mage taking game 3 means he is back up in the series, 2 games to 1. So we're gonna get into game 4 here very quickly. This is best of 5. So now Cubic Zesty still has to get a win with his rogue if he wants to take the victory in the match. He has already won with mage and warlock, leaving his rogue left. And Napoleon has only gotten 1 win with his warrior, so he's got rogue and shaman left. So here we go into game number 4. Cubic Zesty will give the mage a win, so you can see the score on the left side of your screen is correct. Napoleon coming back in here with the rogue on game 4, and Cubic Zesty obviously had to use his rogue. It's the only class left for him to win with if he wants to advance to the championship. So Cubic Zesty taking his time again with the mulligans, trying to get a little intel from his opponent. Not a super great hand for either player. At this point, Cubic Zesty may keep the journey below just to play that on turn 1. That's exactly what he does. Tosses everything back. Ooh, gets the backstab SI. That can be a super huge swing play, especially with the coin. But that backstab SI is a really clean way to deal with minions such as Tomb Pillager, which you can see Napoleon has in hand. Now it appears the spectator mode is working for the death rattle, so we can see Sylvanas looks like a pretty good one, and that's the one he's going to snap up after a little bit of consideration. I would say the strongest out of those 3 is probably the most versatile as well. And now just a hero power pass from Napoleon is going to signify a pretty slow hand from him. So both of these players are going to start playing here in the next couple of turns. Napoleon's going to have another slow turn depending on what he picks up. Nothing super great, so we'll just use the second charge and have to re-hero power, so. Really slow start for him, but he will start to pick it up on turn 4 here. Unfortunately, that's going to get punished by probably a backstab SI next turn. And then I'll have to follow it up with the Azure Drake, which could die to a similar fate with that eviscerate. So Cubic Zesty looking to be in a pretty commanding position here, debating if he wants to tempo out the SI7. So that will obviously be a judgment call on his point, depending on how much he values the board presence. He's going to do it. Makes sense. Getting board presence, especially since he has another one. If he didn't have another one, he might hold on to that there, because he's obviously aware that turn 4 probably means Tomb Pillager, and he's going to want to make sure he has that nice backstab SI to clean it off. So since he was able to maintain that, utilizing a SI7 without the battle cry seemed a lot more acceptable. And now here's the play we've been talking about it for so long. Able to do it here. He is going to float him in unless he wants to coin out a hero power, but I highly doubt that, especially with Gagason Auctioneer in hand. Want to save that coin, draw a card. See if he can get the dream again with the conceal going forward. Also has a prep, so eventually he might be able to make a really big Edwin Van Cleef. This turn I imagine we'll just see the Azure Drake unless he feels super threatened by his opponent's Azure Drake, in which case he'll want to eviscerate it. So maybe an Eviscerate Edwin sets up a 4/4. He can buff it up to a 6/6 with the coin if he wants to. But no, he said he's going to go with the coin Gagason Prep Eviscerate. That seems like a really strong play as well. Hadn't gotten around to mentioning that one quite yet. Potentially the strongest of the options we were talking about. Sets him up in a very commanding position on board. does decide to use the second charge of his weapon. So I'm kind of surprised at that, since I'm expecting him to use... he have a 6 drop next turn, which means he will not be able to dagger up.
This guy's toast.
So I don't think it's going to be super viable, since it doesn't look like he was going to do anything with it regardless. But you never know. Oh, if he had kept that, he could have gone with the backstab, clear off the SI, and still been able to drop the Sylvanas. So that's a little bit unfortunate for him, but this is very strong as well. Azure Drake, clear it off with backstab very cleanly. Make sure to attack first and then conceal. So very good alternative play to what I mentioned. It seems strong as well. So he's taking different routes than what I'm saying, but that does not mean anything. He's probably better at rogue. And there's always more than one viable play. I'm just here to point out a couple of them that I see at the time. So not trying to call out misplays or anything like that. Hopefully players don't take it that way. And now another conceal, able to hold off his board even more. Now it's even stronger with double Azure Drake. And we'll see how much damage Napoleon's able to put off here. He's going in a little bit. Evis, double Cold Blood. I don't think this is enough to kill him. Depending on what he draws here, and Napoleon doesn't think so either. So with those stealth minions, he knew it was going to be very difficult to finish that off. And with that, Cubic Zesty going to take the series 3-1. So very well played by both players. Cubic Zesty was just able to get a little bit of the edge in those matches, and was able to get a win with his rogue and take the series 3-1. So congratulations to him. But like I said, very well played by Napoleon. That just wasn't really there for him in the cards. He had a little bit of a slow start on a couple of those games and had some uphill battles that was pretty unfortunate for him. But we will thank him for playing in our tournament, and we'll hope to see him in future ones. Unfortunately, he will move down into the 3rd place match, so we will not be seeing him again. But we will be seeing Cubic Zesty in the championship match, which will be coming up here a little bit later. But up next, we will have the 2nd semifinals match, which will be between It's Proto Hype and Top Ramos. But we're going to set up a short break right now while we get that matchup ready for you. And then we'll be right back. Don't go away. You don't want to miss it. Hello everyone and welcome back to Elephino Open number 23. I am still Elephino. We are getting ready to start the second semifinals match of the evening between It's Protohype and Top Ramos. If you missed it, we just saw the first semifinals match, which was between Napoleon and Cupid's Zesty. So Cupid's Zesty took a 3-1 victory, which moved him into the championship match. We'll show you the bracket, which will display all of this on here for you. So you can see Cupid Zesty already solidified his spot in the championship match, and he's awaiting the victor between It's Protohype and Top Ramos. So they're going to be coming up here very shortly. We got them added, and we got their classes, so let's have them get into the action. If you're just joining us, this is a 256 player tournament. They play through single elimination, best of 5 conquest with a ban. And now we are down to, well, the final 3 essentially. Cupid Zesty already getting his spot, and then It's Protohype and Top Ramos competing for the second spot in the championship match. So we'll get them going here very shortly. It's Protohype will be on the top of your screen, and they have Rogue, Shaman, and Warlock. Their Warrior was banned, and Top Ramos with Priest, Rogue, and Warlock, their Warrior was banned as well. So looks like they are getting ready to start. So let's get you guys into the action.
For Doomhammer, your soul shall be mine.
Well, let's see if he can invite me. I apologize for that. I asked them to turn those on. Thank you. Okay, so Top Ramos on the bottom of your screen, opening up with Warlock here in Game 1 of the second semifinals match of Elephino Open number 23. And It's Protohype on the top of your screen, opening up with Shaman. Seems to be running the aggro variation of Shaman with their cool new card. We'll hover over some of these cool new cards that you may not be as familiar with, but Flame Wreath Faceless is very strong right now. It appears we got a